Good morning. Happy Monday morning to everybody. I hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. As is usual, there's a lot to cover and unpack in this video. So let's just jump right in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off this morning with Princess Anne. She was in Eversholt, Bedfordshire on October 12th. Now, she was with English Rural. This is a not-for-profit provider of affordable rural homes in England. And they had a conference that had over 50 community leaders there, as well as council members and housing experts and landowners. And Princess Anne gave a speech talking about how important it is to continue to invest in affordable rural housing to foster sustainable communities. Now, as usual, Princess Anne looked absolutely lovely, but her outfit caught the attention of people because she wore it in 1983. I don't know what upsets me more, the fact that she still has the outfit or the fact that she still fits into it. Moving on. Next up, we have Prince William, who we know is the patron of the Welsh Rugby Union. He went to the Rugby World Cup in France with Prince George. This was the quarter-final match between Wales and Argentina. Upon arrival, they were greeted by the Welsh Rugby Union president. Of course, William and George were twinning in their outfits, and then they stepped on down to where they were going to be sitting. And for those of you who are unaware, George plays rugby at school. We've seen pictures of him playing before. Pretty cool. And FYI, this was George's first time going overseas to watch a game. Another first for them. Now, they were hoping to see Wales go on to the semifinal because then they would be playing either New Zealand or Ireland. Very exciting that this whole family is into the whole rugby thing. That's pretty obvious. Now, as you can clearly see in these pictures, the lapels, when they first arrive, have nothing on them. There's nothing on the lapels, okay? But then you see William's doing something with his hands. Well, what is he doing? Apparently, they were putting on their Prince of Wales pins, which I guess is a reminder of, letting everybody know they're the heirs, the future monarch and the one behind him. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for that information. Now, we do know that this is William's second appearance for the 2023 World Cup because last month he stepped out in France for the Wales versus Fiji, where Wales came out on top. All right, these pictures I just wanted to put in because look at that profile, look at that jawline. That is the king of hotness. My goodness, look at that face. Wow, that's why Harry is upset. He wished he had that jawline. What do they call it? That pontiff. No way, no how. Anyway, the two of them really seem to be enjoying the game. George is totally into this. I love it. Well, I'm very sorry to say that Wales lost. Argentina won. And so the dream of that just went down the tubes. But I think it was very nice that William and George went behind the scenes to talk to the players afterwards and, give some words of, you tried your best, way to go. Love it. Moving on. Next up, we have Prince Andrew. Apparently, he was seen driving up the long walk, at Windsor. And everybody's like, he broke cover. He didn't break cover. He goes horseback riding there. So he has to drive there. They're still going on about the house. Again, Andrew has a 75-year lease. And as long as he can pay for the upkeep, there's absolutely nothing that can be done by the king. I don't know why he's so into it anyway. Now, interestingly enough, this article says that Andrew has been offered to stay at Windsor indefinitely while they thrash out a new deal. So, I think Harry and Meghan wanted to live actually in the castle. He's not offering Andrew the castle. Anyway. Now, according to this article, the king's powers to get Andrew out of that house are very limited because the property is no longer on the Crown estate. And he is in a long-term lease, and he's put millions worth of renovations into the house already. So if Charles told him to move, then the Crown Estate could end up owing Andrew the money. Maybe that's the best way, since he's lost all of his money, is to, get him to move, pay him back the money, and then he's set. Next up, we have the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, who went to Northern Ireland. Now, the Duke went to the Public Records Office because they're having their 100th year anniversary. He toured the building and he saw some key documents there, including some files that related to his parents' visit to Belfast, if you can believe this, in 1941 after the Belfast Blitz. And their oldest document that they have, a papal bull dated 1219. How cool would it be to see something like that? He also, of course, met staff and, yes, heard all kinds of interesting things. Now, of course, there were many other stops along the way, lots of things that they did. I just love the fact that they went. I love the fact that they have spent how many years doing their work? Now, on the next day, the Duchess of Gloucester went to Church of Belfast, where she met members, and she listened to a recital from young opera singers. How amazing is that? Love her outfit. All right, I had to throw this story in just because I thought it was really interesting. Do you guys remember that British coins always had Queen Elizabeth on them? And then, for 70 years, but now they're doing the new coins for the new monarch. But these designs are really interesting. Now, keeping in touch with Prince Charles and his love of nature, they are going to put bees and squirrels and a rare caterpillar, a Scottish bird that was reintroduced to Britain when it was facing extinction. And so these are going to be minted and put out into the public. I think it's absolutely lovely, and certainly a change from tradition, what they do with the coins. Moving on. All right, here we go. Another update for Hamas Harvard. Because they refused to condemn these students, one of its leading donors has pulled all of his money. Good for him. Now, with that said, let me just say one more thing. Several people have written to me and said, aren't those students being doxxed? Isn't their private information being put out? Isn't that the same thing that was done to you? People, that's not even close to the same thing. These people signed their name to a public letter. That's not even close to what was done to me. Moving on. Let's move on to Harry and Meghan now. Apparently, these articles are saying that Harry is really struggling with the fact that he's not popular anymore. Remember, he was the most popular member of the royal family, and now he's totally fallen out of favor with the public, and he's completely tanked his own public image and perception, and so now he's unhappy. Yeah, really? Let's be honest. The palace PR machine, the one that he's complaining about and telling everybody about, is so bad. That same PR machine is the one that covered up for him through the years and made everybody think he was just the most darling, person out there. Now he misses that protection. You should have thought of that first. I find it very interesting, this comment on Twitter. One of the sugars said that the reason Prince William got that crowd was because people thought it was Harry. Whereas Harry got no crowd because everybody knew it was him. Spot on. Now, the next article really I've shown you guys this. Harry's body language. He's become so, meek. And Meghan Markle interrupted him during that mental health thing that they were doing. And Harry just looks so defeated, and he's rubbing his leg and he's tapping his foot, and his hand gestures are different. He's literally saying, quote, "Please listen to me." That's what it is. And this goes back to the other story, because now Harry is doing something that's never happened before. He's having to fight for attention. He's having to win admiration. He never had to do that in the UK. In the UK, people sucked up to him. Events were planned around him. This is different. Very different. All right, we're going to move on now to the statements that were put out by Charles, that were put out by William. Remember, Charles spoke to the rabbi. William sent a message to the rabbi. And they're saying that their response really puts Harry and Meghan to shame, because they did a sweeping statement. Their response in their letter was very neutral, whereas William's statement, Charles's statement, says that they're talking about Hamas. They called Hamas a terror group and talked about how horrible it was what they did. Now, really quickly, I want you to take a good look at what they wrote, because this is what they wrote for this conflict. And here's what they wrote for the Ukraine conflict. Quite a difference, isn't there? They didn't offer aid, money, nothing. Now, going back to their original statement about, this conflict, their statement also said they have partners on the front line and they're going to be helping with that. And everybody went, what are those partners? We'll come to find out that the organization that they're talking about on the front line is an organization called Humanity Crew. They donated money to them for mental health services in emergency rooms. The founders apparently identify as Palestinian and have made no statements about what's going on, which I think does speak volumes. I have to agree with this person. Are they talking about donations that they made 2 years ago? Are they Palestinian sympathizers? They are apparently supporting an organization whose loyalties don't align with those of the royal family. And here is the proof that the money they gave was over 2 years ago. So I guess we'll see. I don't think they're willing to get rid of the $9 million that was given to them that's still sitting in the Archewell Fund. Don't forget, they're allowed to keep that, like up to 7 or 8 million of that for their own personal usage. So yeah, I don't think they'll be making any more donations. Now, with that, I have to say, I find it easy what Pilot Hardy wrote. This is so funny. They have Harry and Meghan have what's called the Sidem touch. I'd never heard of that before. And I completely agree. Everything they've touched, the Spotify deal went bad. Netflix, they're not happy. Everything they try just turns to crap. Which is why I agree with Queen Quokka on Twitter, who put this up. I completely agree with it. The truth of the matter is Harry and Meghan are being teased and picked on, but that's what happens when you use your royal titles, but you slag on the royal family constantly. You say horrible things about them and they're terrible, but your entire brand is built off the royal family. They can't get away from it. All right, let's move on to our big story for today. Apparently, Harry and Meghan were seen walking around on this little uber posh island where billionaires go. It's Canoan Island in the Grenadines. Now, it's my understanding, knowing them, they can't afford that, but we know how they work. They either borrowed somebody's house or Soho House just opened up there and they're staying there, probably free of charge. So our eco warriors apparently jetted there on, guess what? A private jet. Who's not surprised by that? Right after they got done with their mental health crap in New York. And supposedly the photo was taken by a passerby, or they just happened to be seen. Bull crap. This is a setup just like when he went to Windsor before it opened and just happened to be spotted by a person of the public coming out the side entrance, except, and that's what they put out until it was shown that it wasn't open yet. It couldn't have been a member of the public. It's a setup. So once again, no children. So Harry is doing to his kids exactly what Charles did to him, and he doesn't even see it. And I guarantee you that's Meghan's doing. She doesn't want the children there. So here's the story that's going out. The two of them were shopping at an upmarket grocery store that sells things imported from France. And after browsing the shelves, they enjoyed a stroll along the promenade before boarding a luxury tender that whisked them away towards the North Shore. Now, keep in mind this island is only 3 miles wide. It's very small. So let's take a look at the picture. And by the way, there's only one picture, just one. The two of them walking hand in hand on this area, which as you can see is completely deserted. What are the chances of that? So what they did was they took the picture and they photoshopped everybody out of it. So obviously this is them, but again, just one photo taken by somebody who just happened to see them. It's not true. So then people said, well, I don't think that's them. No, that's them. So what I did, first of all, she's wearing that stupid hat. I zoomed in, and as you can see, she's wearing Trevor's love bracelet. I don't know why Harry puts up with that. And he's wearing those stupid little things that he got in Africa like 15 years ago. So that's absolutely them. But the message is, look at us. We're wealthy. We're so happy. Personally, I think they weren't that happy. I think they were shopping. They were, and then they were told to hold hands and they grabbed. But this was absolutely a setup photo, you guys. It doesn't take a genius to see that. And once again, no kids. So let's not forget what she said. All the titles, the Duchess, wife, these titles mean nothing to her because the most important title for her is mom. And yet, Harry and Meghan went to the UK without the kids. Then, instead of rushing home, they went to Portugal without the kids. Then they went to New York without the kids. Now they're in the Caribbean without the kids. I pray these kids grow up and write a book about their crappy childhood with parents that they never saw. Now there's one more thing. Somebody on Twitter sent me these photos and was pointing something out that I found interesting. Do you see where Meghan's shoulder is in relation to Harry in this photo? And she's wearing heels. Here she is next to him. Look how much shorter she is in flats. Here it is again. She's in flats. Look at the height distance. Now look here. Point is, her shoulder comes up to mid-arm in every photo where she's wearing flats. But when she's wearing heels, her head still comes to mid-arm on Harry. So there's definitely something funky going on here. And a lot of photoshopping, as usual. I'm sure the person who just happened to spot them is good at photoshopping. In the end, I agree with this Twitter user. The whole idea is for you guys to look at them and go, wow, they live such a wonderful life. All right, you guys, you know what I'm looking for. God, what a setup. Just because William and George and Catherine were going to be in the news this weekend due to rugby. Leave those comments, make them good. And if you've donated to my coffee funder through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.